Welcome back to the show. And today with me is a special soul. Today I have Raechel Morrow in the studios. I want to call them studios until one day there'll be studios. So what we're going to talk about today is this. How do you change your experience of success? There's a lot of you that have been successful. You know what success tests like. You've made the money. You've led teams. You have done all of the things. You know you can be successful. You know what that success looks like. But really, in doing the success or getting to the success, you've done it in the way that I would say society made us believe success was, which I like to call, based on this speaker's philosophy, the masculine way of doing things, the hustle, the grind, prove yourself, get results, do all of the things and you will be successful. Compete with the men and, in the workplace and you get a promotion. But really what I'm learning from this speaker is that there is a feminine way to do this. There is an easier way. There is a being that can be much as powerful. While all the doing and the things are very powerful, I think there is another way of being powerful without doing it the masculine way. And so what we're going to talk about today is really getting back your power and staying in your full feminine essence as you create your success. What if success didn't have to be hard? What if you didn't have to hustle and grind? What if you could be that 8-figure or whatever the CEO you want to be, and you got to do it in your own essence by connecting more to your body, and you could just make things happen because of how in touch you are with your own intelligence? What if we had more power to create success than we have been told that we do? What if success didn't have to be exhausting? What if success didn't have to be in one area? So you have the money, but your marriage is breaking away, it's going south. Like, what if we didn't have to chase success in the same pattern that we have been told to do? The problem that we have today is that society and everything around us celebrates this hustle and grind culture. And so we have grown knowing that that's the only way that we can create success. But after 23 hours of being in the weeds, of working with people, of working with the body, the soul, the mind, what Raechel has discovered is that it gets to be easier. Success can flow. Success can be you creating your heaven on earth. You can have this and that and that. You don't have to choose between the marriage and the money, and you can have it all and still not work as hard as you're possibly working. But that's me lamenting and talking about the expert. But then what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to dive in and have Raechel tell us what she does, how she does it. And so you can really hear from her all of my myth, which I'm carrying with me at this point about her work and how she does what she does. And is that accessible for you as well? So I'm really excited to have Raechel on. Raechel, it's my absolute honor to have you on the show. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast, Raechel.
Thank you so much for having me. So before we dive too deep, I'm hoping we can do something maybe you've never done before. But the way that I start every podcast session, workshop, training is to just pause and to feel our breath. And so if you're listening somewhere, of course, if you're in the car, keep your eyes open. But if you just want to take a moment, close your eyes. Feel your seat. Feel your energy settle. Feel yourself taking a deep breath through your nose and allowing that breath to sigh out through your mouth, letting go. And giving yourself that 2 more times. And out. Breathing in and breathing out. Yeah, it's so good to be here. So good to be here.
I feel like this is an experience. I feel like this is a retreat. So let's go. Tell us. Tell us how you help people in the midst of all of my rambling as I started. Like, what did you wish I said in a sentence? So like, oh, Prima just said this, they'll get it. Like, what is it that you do in this beautiful world in a sentence or two that someone can get on and be like, oh, I get it now?
All right. So I guess what I do is I work with these high influential boss babe, kick-ass women who have built empires and have tremendous amount of leadership within them. They're making 6, 7, 8 figures, and something isn't working. Something is very missing. And of course, it's very unique for each woman. But I walk with them, I help support them in bringing them more into a place of flow and more into a place of peace, more in a place of peace. So they become more soft, more peaceful, more easeful, but with still the same amount of leadership, they're still this amazing change agent, but they're more fulfilled. I always say live a magical life over mundane. And this woman, after some time, life just is becoming mundane. Things aren't working. There's a lot on our shoulders.
Oh, I
That
love
might have been
that.
more than 2 sentences, but yeah.
No. I really like how you're saying it. It's the boss babe. I got it all. I got it figured out. I know I can do
Yeah.
stuff. I'm
And
building my empire. Mm,
and, with her, the tricky thing is that she's like amazingly intelligent and
mm,
capable, and she can get shit done. And so it's tricky because she doesn't necessarily need help, but
mm,
that's a big part of the process is allowing
mm,
yourself to learn to receive and allowing yourself to get vulnerable, allowing yourself to stop, to shed, to slow down. And
mm.
miraculous things happen when you do that. But it can be challenging for this woman.
I want to go there because she doesn't even
Sure.
know she needs help. She doesn't even see that there is need to slow down. She doesn't even think that there is a way to slow down and breathe in and take it all in. And so she go through the day and she has to do what she has to do because the empire has run. But really at the end of the day, she's worn out and she questions like, why does this have to be so much hard work? And so if she was listening to us, I want you to kind of describe what needs to be happening in her life to catch herself and go, oh, okay, I guess I could use some help. What is happening for her right now that can be an indicator that she's on that run, in that mundane, in that state, and she's missing all the fulfillment part, the parts of slowing down, the part of feeling their body or feeling whatever the thing is magical that they keep missing through the mundane and the motion and the everyday of life.
Yeah, I would say typically she feels something is
Mm,
missing
mm,
and she continually is searching for that and she's not finding it because it's not necessarily cerebral. It's not like, oh, it's A, B, and C are missing and you just need to do A, B, and C and then you'll be complete and everything will feel balanced and whole and sustaining and you'll feel vibrant and alive, you'll feel good again. It's not that easy because
mm,
what she's missing is deep connection
mm,
and having more of a sacred life. She is so much in the doing every day and getting
mm,
shit done and doing for everybody else that she's lost that deep connection, or she may never have had it in the beginning, with her own self, and like that capital S self. It's got a lot of different names: goddess, self, witness, soul, but it's that place in the body that just knows its present moment, it's true, it feels like home, it's peace. She doesn't have access to that place. And therefore, she's not able also to receive externally from her world. She's not able to receive from her employees. She's not able to receive from her partner. She's not able to receive from divine, from God. She's not able to receive sometimes even finances, play, pleasure. So this woman is continuously fighting burnout. She might be in fight or flight. She might have adrenal fatigue. She might lack a connection with Mother Nature, not a lot of pleasure, play, connection in life. And all of those, of course, can vary in different degrees, but she might find herself falling in one of those areas, or lacking in one of those areas.
I like the part where you said she has a problem receiving, because this is a kind of woman who even has a problem thinking, I need help, I need to receive help, and thinking maybe it's not even okay because everyone is relying on you, everyone is following you, everyone is asking for help. You're like the influencer, the person with the answers. And so to reach a point where you can go, oh, I actually don't have all of the answers, I also need help, I think that can be a place that is considered as weakness. I don't know what you have to say about that. Could be
Yeah.
scary.
Definitely, that is such a scary, vulnerable place when you have responsibilities, people counting on you. You're the one with the answers, and you're not fulfilled. Behind the curtain, you are not fulfilled. Something is so missing, something is not working, and you don't feel like you can come forward with that. You don't have anywhere to go or anyone to ask.
That's really big. I would love to dive in your story because I think your story can be that tissue for her to go, maybe it's okay.
So my story is truly in a very vulnerable place. I didn't feel, growing up as a young woman, even into my 30s, I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I was enough. And I think that when I get really deep with women, there is a theme. And I think that theme is we do collectively feel that deep within ourselves. And so what I learned is to turn off the feminine and to work really hard for my value, my safety, and my worthiness. And I worked so hard at building the family, building the career, building the education, building my business. And in 2020 and at the start of 2021, I was in, interesting enough, one of the best places of my life. Prior to that, I had always been in burnout. I was in a good place in my physical body. I had finally been leaning into the sacred feminine. What that means is I finally started to learn how to receive more. I started to feel more of the synchronicities of life. And things became revealed to me that there was still parts of myself missing, that I wasn't allowing. I still wasn't walking my own path. And I knew that the way I was living was not sustainable, that it would be a matter of time in my business that I would be exhausted again. The work I was doing, I was this trauma expert, and I still am, but I was put in that box and it wasn't bringing me joy anymore. And I think because I was in this place of balance, I knew I had to find another way. I knew I only have this one precious life. I had to find another way. And so what I did is it really started at the end of 2021 and all into 2022. I completely leaned into the sacred feminine. I stopped. I shed. So I shed all of the parts that weren't me, all of the parts that the patriarchy and my upbringing and the culture said I had to be. And I figured out, who am I and what is my real path? I shed all of those parts and I grieved all of those parts. And I stopped building, growing. I went down on my clients. I did only one retreat that year. And I only built and worked internally on myself. I learned how to be, I learned how to play, I learned how to rest. And I will say that time was scary as hell for me because I could just do and grow, and then I would feel an artificial sense of safety again, which is the masculine. But I intentionally stopped for a whole year, growing, building. And then into my second year, I really started to get very clear about what is my real path, who am I really, and what are the parts of me that aren't showing up that I want to show up. And really worked in 2023 at bringing that out, integrating it, changing into my business, which really leads me to where I'm at today and guiding women very similar to myself. These women that are 6, 7, 8 figures, they're not fulfilled. There's something deeply missing. And they don't really know why. They don't really know what to do, and they don't know where to go.
They don't even know who to trust, because most people that claim to do this work are not successful. So they don't really know, like, why they need to take advice from someone that hasn't achieved what they're trying to achieve, or in their eyes doesn't know what they know. And so for me, I see the struggle, because most people say I'm a healer, but they're broke. And okay, there's someone I saw who was saying how to create your best life. But I was like, okay, if that's your best life, I sure don't want it. And so there's like a part of the human being that asks the question, why should I listen to you? And for a lot of these women, there isn't a lot of women that have tapped into this feminine way of building. And so there isn't a lot of role models. There isn't a lot of people that are doing what you do who have also lived that life and seen the success and decided to consciously slow down and chase something else or go after the other bits and pieces, which may not necessarily give you the dopamine or whatever the thing is that people want to chase. Next thing, next thing, next thing. And so for me, I really get it. Like sometimes I refuse to take advice from someone that I think doesn't qualify to give me advice. And I don't know, it's just me. I take advice that is filtered from the lens of, do I want your life? And maybe it's the same for the person that is listening. Take me through the process of, okay, this is interesting, Raechel. That's really me. And I am even too scared to share. But listening to your story is giving me the courage to know and think that I am not alone. Maybe there is help for me. So take me through, like, how do I even move from this place of really scared to look there because I think it's scary to, okay, I'm going to do this. And it may not look like the success I have right now, but I'm willing to look there and begin to redefine. Because you said at one point that you had to shed off all of the labels and masks and anything, and you had to kind of ask the question, who am I? Where are the parts of me?
I think the most amazing thing is that, so even in the spiritual journey, the most famous spiritual journey, which is the hero's journey, which is by Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces. Basically, he says that there is this notion to be the hero, to be the healer, to, capture or rescue the princess and save the kingdom. You have to wear a mask. And what I'm saying is the mask has to come off. And that is the feminine journey. And we don't realize that every human, this is transcends gender. Every human is going through a masculine and a feminine journey concurrently. And so the process really looks like starting to reclaim your sacred feminine, starting to reclaim the feminine energy. And I think collectively we're seeing that happen collectively, and it will continue because it needs to continue because we live in a very highly masculine, not even a sacred masculine, but a highly masculine world where we are taught to, our value and our worthiness is based on, our output and what we're contributing to the world. So this woman needs to first start to lean into her sacred feminine energy, which will look different, I will say, for each person. But there are some similarities. The first thing is there has to be a surrender. There has to be a letting go. Because in the hero's journey, he goes down into the underworld after having a coach or a therapist or a mentor that has given him tools. And he does this outward journey to get an elixir. He brings this elixir back to life and he shares that with the world. Where the feminine journey, when she goes down into the underworld, this is a process of shedding because it's internal. And that's the sacred feminine. It's in your body, it's inside. It's that quiet voice inside of ourselves when we're really quiet and we get into a deeper state of consciousness. It's presence, we know it's true. So she needs to shed everything that she's not, and also let go of the things that she's not. And there is a grieving process when she acknowledges, wow, I'm 40, I'm 50, and look at all that I lost from being separate from her. And I'll never get that back. There is a grieving process that has to happen. And so she learns how to let go. And in that letting go, there's a surrender. Where the masculine is doing, she learns how to surrender, which is the flow. And I tell you what, when you start building a life and building a business and flow from a place internally, it is natural. It is, if your actions mirror your truest self, there is just a natural abundance that flows. So the first step is she slows down to some degree. She learns to let go. She learns to be vulnerable. She learns to receive. She starts to feel into her own flow. And maybe I'll stop there before going on, just in case you have any questions.
I'm taking notes. I want to think that I'm an attentive student. So the first step was to reclaim your feminine, like decide that you're gonna actually make the shift and introduce more of your feminine parts to the equation. So that was the first part I got. That may ask you to slow down. That may ask you to let go. And that may ask you to learn to receive. But most importantly, that may ask you to be more vulnerable than you normally might be. And then what I picked off is there is a part where we have to shed off stuff. So think about it like an onion, and we're going to kind of take off until we reach that part which your eyes look at and they start bleeding. So we're kind of peeling off whatever the masks are, really. What are the masks that we have going on? And we're going to peel. I think I'm going to ask you a question where you kind of let us know, like, what are we peeling off? Because I think that someone listening may even need to understand, like, what are the masks? What are the layers that I need to peel off? And then the third one, if I understood, was getting in flow. But I still don't know. So I understand that I can choose to keep doing what I'm doing, or I can choose that I want to tap into that feminine power. That I want power, but I want it to be soft. and feminine. And that's a choice that I have to make. I can also understand that I have to let go of some identities that I have. I can also understand that I need to create room for flow, but I don't really know, like, okay, how? Like, how does that look like? What is that? Like some of us have even never heard of those words. And so we're like, oh, what's that? What does she mean by that?
Yeah. Well, so first, let me answer your first question. Like, what is this shedding? What are you letting go? And you actually answered the question. It's like your personas.
Mm,
It's the parts of you that you're really not. And
mm,
and there's kind of this period in this journey that you feel. You don't know them in your brain, but you feel, is this me or is this not me? Was this my
mm,
mom? Was
mm,
this my upbringing? And what is true for me? It's a feeling. So you're shedding these personas that you thought you had to be or you should be,
mm,
and you're really starting to feel what you really are. And that's a feeling. It's not a thinking, it's a feeling. So the part of the sacred feminine is all about feeling, because that's how you know it's true. So that's the first part to answer that first question. And then the second question is about flow. So flow is energy. I think of it as energy. And of course, we want to live with the most vibrant energy that's magnetic, that attracts things, right? We all want that. But what
mm,
happens is within our bodies, when we experience traumas or we experience unfavorable things, we close different areas of our body, which creates a disturbance in that flow of energy. It might be, chronic pain in your gut or chronic tightness in your body, or just how you conduct your body and how you conduct your life as a whole. Like maybe you are always too fast. Maybe you aren't present. How is your breath? Maybe your breath is just really, really shallow all the time. How are you digesting your food? All of these different components that probably I can talk about for quite some time are affecting your energy, which is your flow. How is your flow? And so for a lot of people, it's stagnant. And
mm,
even going deeper is your lifestyle. We are taught how we're supposed to work 8 to 5. Well, that might not be the best for your natural flow in life. The people that you're around, the things that you do. I'll tell you, play and pleasure, that brings in life force, that brings in play. Work does not. So it's all of these things that bring about a lifestyle that will increase your flow. So, no, you don't actually have to work hard. And I'll get to this later, but the sacred masculine who wants to serve the sacred feminine knows exactly what he needs to do because it's guided from within. So there's more in alignment, there's more focus, there's more integrity, and you have that ability to be centered and be grounded, which you absolutely need to sustain the flow of your energy. And so many people are in an uncentered state, ungrounded state, really heavy in their mind, that monkey mind, that they're really working too hard. There's no flow in their life.
mm. I like what you said about the shadow, because I think it'd be worth it to talk about. There is people who believe they have to be a nice person, they have to provide for everybody, they have to, I don't know, be considerate and feel everyone's pain, and they need to be a kind
Absolutely. But
person.
those people, there's no alignment. But the problem is they're stuck in the maiden. The maiden
Mm,
doesn't know her own needs, and she doesn't put she doesn't put her needs first, because you can't give what you don't have. And so there's not
mm.
integrity to it. And that's a huge, huge part. Is when
I
someone
like
is chasing
this.
after perfection,
Mm,
perfection and people pleasing, I know, oh my gosh, like you've got a lot of work left to do, because we are all so far from perfect. And
mm,
you're never ever going to be liked by everybody. You're never going to be perfect. And the parts of us that are vulnerable and flawed, those are the parts that help us be human and to deeply connect. Like when I am working with somebody, I don't want somebody who looks like they have it all together and is perfect, because I'll call that bullshit. Like that doesn't feel safe to me because it's not true. I want someone that is human and will show their humanness.
I really like that because I feel like there's a lot of assumptions about what people should or shouldn't do. Even a lot of assumptions around what's feminine and what's not. Because you can be in that feminine energy and not show your clit. Like I like where
Absolutely. And
you're
I will
going
say too,
because
I am so sick of seeing that we're definitely in a sacred feminine rising collective energy, and I love it, right? We need this so bad. But how it's portrayed typically is it's always the color pink. It's always a very young, feminine, beautiful, flowy woman, which is a maiden. And maidens are so masculine. And that's not really the correct representation of the sacred feminine. And many people don't relate to that. Like I don't feel like I'm that, right? And that's fair. That's fair. Really, the sacred feminine is just what is happening in here. It's the doing, or it's not doing. It's the being, the receiving, the listening. That is the sacred feminine. It's the containing. It has
that's
nothing to
good.
do with being beautiful and youthful. That's very off-putting to a lot of people, and that's understandable.
I tell you, every time I look at a woman and there's this cliff going on and lashes and I don't know what hair, and I'm like, and the nails are, I'm like, no, serve me that. Like, no. So like it's really important to be grounded enough that you can go, that's really not it for me, and that is me and that is not me. But I guess I want to take you deeper into the sacred feminine and masculine, because I think that it would really help if you gave us more into that, because most people don't even know what they're looking for, or most people have never felt in their body, and most people don't even know what they want, and most people want things because everybody wants those things. Most people want followers because everyone has followers. And so I want you to take us there, because what we can say feel into your body, but most people don't even know what that means. Most people have never stopped to even go, what do I need? Most people have always been like, what do they need and what do they need? And like they are always putting out fires for somebody else, but they've never stopped to go, but what do I need? So take us there. And I want to understand, like, okay, say I really want this sacred feminine journey. Give me whatever is coming up for you to kind of make me go, maybe this is available for me too. Because as you're saying, feeling your body, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm like, I have no idea what that is. As you're saying, shed off, I'm like, I probably don't even know what is mine and what is not. And as you're going and giving me more flow, I'm like, really? My business would be dead tomorrow if I start going in flow. So, like, people who
That's what
believe.
everybody thinks, right? And I will tell you, when I did it too, when I slowed down and I stopped growing my business for a whole year, I didn't do a single thing that would grow my business, didn't post anything on social media. I literally went underground for a year. And that's what it felt. That's what it felt. So I completely resonate. In the beginning, the level of anxiety that it procreated was like, I'm going to die. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? But I'm here to say, truly and genuinely, you're going to be just fine. And sometimes we just need someone that's gone through it to say, you're going to be just fine. And in fact, when you get more in alignment on your own path and in the way you're meant to do it, even more abundance flows. But what I'm hearing you say is maybe share more on what the sacred feminine is in contrast to the sacred masculine. Is that what you think would
And
be
that can
useful?
also be you taking us to, I don't know, something, a book, I don't know, a course. I don't know. That can also take us through like your back end stuff and kind of maybe helping us understand, like when you work with women, what is it you're doing? So that we can
Yeah.
put a hand, because remember, in as much as there is that masculine and feminine sacredness, we're still here in the 3D, putting out fires, and if we breathe, someone will die. And so that's like our reality right now. So I would like kind of more light into how does this work? And feel free to go
Yeah.
in the back. And for example, say in my retreats, like I know you have a retreat coming next year, you can kind of use that to go, this is what we will do. And I know you have the yoga experiences. So I'm wanting you as well to go there and tell us why those experiences, what's happening there, how are they shifting us?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll first say a part of when one starts to lean into the sacred feminine that I help support is providing and teaching tools to help support your nervous system. That's very, very important. Because, like I said, when you have been in the masculine your whole life, building, growing, and you start to slow that down, there is a huge adjustment period. And allowing a person to start to care for their nervous system, start to heal their body is incredibly important. So that's really part of that first step, is when they start to reclaim and lean into the sacred feminine energy, is what's happening when they're resting, and teaching them how to nourish themselves, how to restore, how to strengthen their nervous system, because it's vulnerable, and vulnerable is going to trigger the fight or flight response. And then what happens over time is the more that the heroine that I'm working with becomes more centered, more peaceful, and more easeful, her vibration increases. Her state of consciousness is higher. And there's one thing when we solve problems in the masculine, which is cerebral, process based, which is always going to pull from the past. When you can start living a creative life, and that is the feminine, after you've spent time in a higher state of consciousness, problems become more creative. They're solved more creatively, instead of like, oh, I have to work harder, I have to find the right system, and I have to find the right process, if that makes sense. So over time, what tends to happen in the women that I work with is their vibration increases, and they are just in an everyday higher state of consciousness, which is that place inside of you that gives you the answers. It's not coming from anything outside of you, it's coming from inside of you. And that tends to happen over time. And then what also starts to come up is some of these lost parts of yourself that you hidden or you covered up or you locked in the basement, that were not safe to be seen or known. They start to surface. And that is so important. That's one of the final stages of growth and integration, is that all of you is present. All of you are, all parts of you are present. I'm a depth psychologist, so I study Jungian based psychology. So I'm going to use the word archetypes, but there's many different names for parts of ourselves. But I tend to work with the 7 feminine archetypes. So, and these will just naturally start to come up. So the maiden, which we all have, the maiden, she doesn't know who she is. She always will people please. She'll always put other needs before her own. She's living someone else's path. She's wearing a mask. She's mirrored other people's journeys. She needs to eventually transition into the mother. And the mother comes from a deep love of yourself and complete unconditional positive regard for yourself, which literally opens your heart from the inside out, and you become very nutritive and generative to the world. And I tell you what, we need more mothers. And this is a process that just happens. And so you as the leader, you as this like boss babe that has built an empire, I tell you what, when you start to do that from the mother, magic happens. You're no more in the grind, the hustle, the push, the force. When you start to do it from the mother, it is so nutritive, it is so generative that growth happens. The other parts of us that are missing are the wild woman. The wild woman, she is connected to nature. We are not anymore in our society, and she's instinctual. We are not taught as women, or quite frankly, anybody, to follow our instincts. The sage starts to come up. She is the one with deep, deep wisdom. The mystic, that one is definitely suppressed. The mystic is spiritual and intuition. And that part, especially for the businesswoman, and I can relate to this, it would kind of seem very suspect. But the truth is, we all have spiritual gifts. And that's what I talk about, living a magical life. And that part tends to get really suppressed because we need to be in a masculine world and we need to compete. And if we are like, hokey pokey and spiritual, we're not going to be taken as serious, right? But we are that. We have such intuition. We all have healing capabilities, and we need to start knowing our gifts. And then the last one is the lover, which tends to be the most suppressed in most women because that's the one that loves pleasure and play and deep connection. She loves, good food and good fabrics and sex and prioritizes all of those things. And that is just way too unsafe, right? We're taught from the patriarchy that is way too unsafe to show that part of us. So these parts start coming up and we start to reclaim these parts. And the very last and the most important part that is the most powerful is integrating the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. You've lived it now. You've lived it a year, 2 years, 5 years. You've lived this now. And now the sacred feminine guides the sacred masculine, which is, what am I doing? What are the actions that I need to do and build the life that I want to live? And those two are co-currently working for the first time in your life, instead of you're just letting the masculine go out and do everything without any guidance, without any alignment. It's just all from the external.
That's really good. I don't know what I've missed out because I do have the first one, the mundane, which is more like no idea who you are, people pleasing, trying on different Cinderella dresses. And you're like, I don't even know which one is mine. The mother, which is like loving others from a deep place of prioritizing yourself and loving yourself so unconditionally that you refuse to, you refuse to have anything that is less than what you desire. And out of that, the things that you say yes to, you're able to fully mother them. Like I get the mother beats. Then I have the wild woman connected to nature and instinct. The mystic connected to spirits and natural gifts, which is funny because yesterday I went on a podcast and they asked me what I did, and they said, we try to stay away from that. And I was like, okay. They asked me, like, what do you do? And they said, I'm a translator for the soul. And they said, what does that mean? I said, I get messages of people that are doing their soul work, and they translate them in the ordinary world so that those who need them can come along. And they were like, we really try to stay away from that in business. And so for that, I was like, yeah, if that's not the message that you welcome, I'm not open to being on the podcast either. They were like, we do not welcome spirituality. And I was like, okay. So the mystique, proud of their gifts, happy, embracing their gifts. The lover, which is pleasure and deep connection with self, and more like really getting what you want and not having guilt or shame and not being greedy. Like getting that fabric and paying whatever the dollar amount is because you deserve it. Going and paying $100 for a wine because your soul deserves that. And then I have six, which is in
deeply loving yourself, and people and relationships. Like you're fully open, you're vulnerable, you're going deep, man. You're going deep.
So
yeah.
I do, and then from there, I moved to integrating the sacred feminine with the sacred man. But I think I missed something because you said there were 7, but I do have 6. Yep. I don't know which one I missed out.
And then the sage, which is your wisdom.
Is that number 6 or 5?
I think that's all 7 then. So there's the maiden, the mother, the wild woman, the sage, the mystic, the lover, oh, and the queen. The queen.
Mm,
And I do find that most women, at least that I work with, are pretty comfortable being in that queenhood.
mm,
But there's still sometimes that inner critic that we all need to really pay attention to and be like, hey, man, this this isn't happening. This is not okay. These negative things that you're speaking to me, this isn't happening. You need to go sit in the back seat because I'm the queen and I'm going to be the queen in my life and you're not going to hold me back. So it still shows up. It still shows up for people. But queen
So
being
what
really
was
that strong, empowered leader to guide
mm.
people.
So what's the difference between the sage state and the queen state? Or which one is
So this
higher up in as far as growing and depth is concerned?
So there's not a hierarchy in any way. We
Mm,
have all of these parts within us. I think
mm,
it's just we have some parts feel stronger and we feel more
mm,
connected to, and other parts we feel less connected to. And the hope is that we have some connection to all of them.
mm.
And hopefully,
So
I think that the maiden and the mothers, the hope is that
mm,
as someone spiritually grows, they're going to have less connection to the maiden and they become more of the mother. And there's actually even a book about that, Maiden to Mother. And I can't remember the author. I can send that to you later if you want to put it in your notes. But a great book, Maiden to Mother.
so who is the sage woman? What's the
She is
sage? Mm,
wise. She is wise. And where her wisdom is coming from is experience,
mm,
body-based knowledge, intuition, not like the wisdom that comes from books necessarily, right? Not the
mm,
wisdom that is put into us that we learn in education or books. Like she's just wise. The wise grandmother.
mm,
She's the one that starts to become the crone. We need crones more. We are looked,
mm.
aging is looked at so unfavorably, and we need those crones in our lives to especially guide us in becoming the fully integrated women that we're meant to be. We need those crone, sage, wise, grandmother type women in our life.
I really love this, the architects. I love these 7 or 8 or 9 because this really shows me like what's happening. And a lot of people have the one going as well. Like, I don't know who I am. There's that cool thing, so I'm gonna buy it. There's that cool funnel, so I'm gonna install it. There's that cool thing. I don't know, it's a thing to be on whatever stage, this summit, and so I'm going, but like if we could all tap into all of these things, we could know exactly what to say no to, what to say yes to, and we could be more powerful if we somehow moved away from one into all of these things. I really like how deep this is because this is the peeling of the masks. This is the authenticity of owning the crown. This is the feminine who is unstoppable, who is more powerful than this is so good. Is there anything else that we've forgotten that needs to come up? Because I feel like this is it.
No, other than just, I really want to stress
Mm.
how powerful the last step is when you integrate the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. And
Mm.
by now, if you've lived the lifestyle, you so deeply know the voice inside of you. You know her, and I'll call that voice soul or witness or goddess. We all have different names for it, but it's that place when you're quiet enough, it speaks to you and it's always right, it's always true. It's your truest, highest self. When you live a life and you know her so deeply, she will guide you for the rest of your life. And it is her. She is the one that is meant to guide the sacred masculine into action. And so all of your actions now, what you do in life, are now in alignment. And he is strong. He is so strong. But the
Mm.
problem is he hasn't been supported. He's just been following the status quo. Just been following what everybody else is doing. And he hasn't been guided by the sacred feminine. And this is what we need to do and why. And he is the great, he is the mental, he is the brains, he's the one, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm going to figure this out. He's the coach, within you. How am I going to make this happen? What are the steps, right? And these two energies literally with inside of you start to co-create and speak, and you create a life of beauty, of abundance, of flow, of joy, of purpose. So I can't stress enough. The last step is really integrating these two energies. It's integrating the outward experience and the internal experience. And so when I say there's something missing, we are missing. That's what we're missing. We're missing the internal experience. Because even in healing and in systems of healing, it is all the external processes. We've got so many healing modalities. We forget how to tap into the simplicity of what's inside. So
that's really good. That's really good. And the good thing with the person we're speaking to in this episode, which is the boss babe, some of these things are already activated, but it is more the power that is coming from, I guess, getting some of these and using the boss babe as like the masculine structure to lead the flow bit. I think that it's really powerful because I think the boss babe has structure, but she's missing this side. She's missing the instinct. She's missing the intuition. She's missing the inner stuff. She's missing the internal gifts. She's missing, yes. So I can see how like powerful this can be because you have this boss babe, but then you have all these other things that she doesn't have.
Can you imagine? That's the part. Can you imagine when she finally can be vulnerable enough to tap into what's happening inside? Could you imagine the power that then happens?
Now I understand why men become more successful when they marry the right person. Because the woman brings the parts that men may not easily. I don't know what the equation is, but a lot of the times when the man marries the right woman, things blow off because there is a part of the woman that needs to happen for the masculine to like really take
This
off.
is a bit faux pas to say, but I firmly believe this, that the sacred masculine wants and is designed to serve the sacred feminine. It is designed that way, to serve the sacred feminine.
I'm looking at what you just said there and wondering, is this the key to even the marriage pieces that we are looking for? Because there's also men who are in the state of, I don't know who I am, I'm people pleasing. And when you all bring that, no wonder there's chaos because none of you is sat in their highest place. And so there's this fight and fight and fight. But I think the most beautiful thing is when you can get yourself to a state that accommodates the sacred masculine. Because this
I
is
can
how
speak
you
even in my
can.
own marriage. There, when I was really learning all of this, not from here, but through experience, I started to allow my husband to help more. Where before I was the leader in our marriage, I just was the one that got things done, took care of everything. And it was just easier that way, to be honest. But when I started to get very vulnerable, I started to allow him to help me more, to be that strong masculine influence and say, hey, I'll do this for you. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to listen, just continually over time, letting him in, letting him in, letting him in, letting him be that savior. That get off your high horse, Racheal. You don't need to save the world. Be the fall apart. Let me hold you. And that was beautiful. And I was like, I get it now. The women, we are taught like that is vulnerable, that will be weaker, we will have less opportunities. We can't do that. And it was just beautiful to allow myself to just be rescued, be loved by him. And it didn't make me any less capable, strong, intelligent, anything. And in fact, it created more connection. It created more depth.
It's so good because for me, I even do it without recognizing. And when I look back, I go, He's always looking to save. He's always looking to rescue. He's always looking for like, how can I help? And please don't do that. Don't harm yourself. And I can be in a place where I'm like, if things are gonna get done faster, I'm gonna do it. But the more, the more I can kind of go, yeah, I'm gonna let him do it. And if it messes up the thing, that's okay. Like the more
That's the
I
whole
can
process.
the more I can see myself closing my eyes and saying, all right, I'm here, tell me where we're going. Like the more he steps up and the more he wants to do more and the more, but I can automatically find myself saying, no, I'm good. What can I do to serve you? No, no, I'm good. Like saying, oh, can I go and pick this stuff? No, I'm good. Like not knowing that I'm really not helping him step into the person that he wants to step in to provide, protect, and proclaim. And I strongly believe that this is why men are giving up and not doing their role, because we women have stepped into, I can do that. You're gonna be slower. You're not gonna do it my way. And so I feel like that's a good one there, because it's so powerful when you can let another person do it their way. Not your way, but like their way, and just go, yeah, thank you. It's really hard though, because I've caught myself going, no, no, I'd rather you didn't do that. That's so good.
I relate. Yep. Yep. You got it. You got it, sister.
Tell me about the experiences you have going on. Tell me about the yoga. Tell me about that beat. Like, what is that you do behind the scenes? The breath work, the yoga, all of that, and for what?
Yeah. The yoga has been the foundation to all of my work. It is the tools. I embody and I live them and I teach them. So there's 8 limbs in yoga, and I teach all 8 limbs as tools of resiliency, as tools to live a really balanced, well life. These are the tools that help us connect inside, right? That's what they're meant for. Yoga is a spiritual journey, and the tools help us connect to the divine, the goddess, the witness, the soul inside. So those are the things that I teach. So yes, I do teach body awareness and moving your body and breath work and meditation. That those are huge parts in the work that I do. If you go on a retreat with me, that process is, the intention is over the 8, 9, 10, 14 days is to support you in getting into a deeper and higher state of consciousness. And yoga will bring you there. It's not about postures and can you twist yourself and achieve this posture and that posture. Yes, there's those types of yoga out there, but I'm talking more about how do you deeply bring your mind into more of a higher state, more of a theta state brainwave, which only comes from stillness and slowing your nervous system down. Yeah, yoga is. I've been a yogi for 25 years. It is my practice, and I feel like it's enough. It's incredibly integrative. There's nothing more that's needed. It's complete. It's been around for 10,000s of years for a reason, and it's worked for me. It's worked for my clients. I think sometimes we have a little bit of a misconception of what yoga looks like.
Take me to, I know you do retreats. I know you do have one coming at the start of 25.
Yep.
And so I would love for you to speak to that. Who is invited? What can they expect? How do they sign up? Because I feel like that could really be powerful.
Yeah. So I believe fully in retreats. I go on one myself every year, and then I lead 2 a year as well, because it really helps us to get out of patterns. So it's this process. It's like that first 2 steps, they're expedited a bit. It's like doing 1 to 2 years of work with me. We're already breaking those patterns on the retreat. We're already during the retreat, we're already getting into a higher state of consciousness. And then the intention is on the retreat is how are we going to start to bring these creative, when you get into a prolonged state of a higher consciousness, truths start to be revealed to you that you could never force to happen. Literally, there are these like light bulb moments. I'm sure we have all had those. So on my retreats, you will receive a lot of light bulb moments because you are in a higher vibration, higher state of consciousness. And then over time on that retreat, we start to really then use the masculine piece of like, how does this really start to look in your life? How do you really bring this into your life in a sustainable way? So yeah, we have all of the things that a lot of retreats have. We do a lot of ancient healing practices. So there's a lot of healing for mind, body, spirit that happens. We do a lot of deep devotional sacred work and sacred ceremony, which I love, which is leaning into the sacred divine. We do a lot of circle work where we're sharing as well. So all of these things are definitely happening. We're eating good food. We are definitely in places that are incredibly healthy, and the individuals, I take a lot of time in the places we go and the individuals that host us. I try to get as natural as possible. So we're in like the natural state, off the grid. We are more living in the land. We're more living as the locals do. So it's not a vacation. It's not a, I'm just going away to get away, for a week or two. Because typically when you go on those type of retreats, you'll come home and you'll find yourself right back where you started within sometimes 1 week later or a month later, you're right back where you were. So.
I love that. I would love to ask you something
The intention for
about,
my retreats is that there is change. Yeah, please.
I'd like to ask you something in the line of expansion. I have had one or two people say, you need to expand to be a match for whatever the energy is. And I wonder what you have to say to that, because I feel like a lot of people bring that and just take it out of context. So maybe, let's say in a scenario where you can help clients, you have what it takes to help them, but they are not taking action, they're not signing up. And what is coming is, so you're not an energetic fit for that, and they can feel it in their body and they won't sign up. I would love for you to talk to that, if that's anything you address in your work, and how that would look like if someone came and they were looking for maybe expansion or something like that.
So I think I'm understanding the question. I have two parts to that. First, I'm not sure if this is what you meant, but I think that you've hit on, I think the secret to everything is you have a feeling inside of you, and it's a feeling. You feel it, right? It's a sensation, and that is your true self. And what you want, the energy that you're giving out, is to be a reflection of that feeling inside of you. So you want any action or any doing, anything that you do, you want to ask yourself, is this serving my highest good? That is the key to everything. A lot of times we're serving the narration in our mind, or the have tos or the shoulds, which we're not really present. We're not serving our highest good. That happens almost all the time. And I would say to the person who's looking for like expansion, they're not really sure. What I do is I typically just meet with somebody. I'll meet with them for 45 minutes or an hour, and we'll just talk, because so much of this work, I'm not here to sell anything. And I don't even have a great sales pitch, to be honest. I don't have like, well, tell me your, what do they call it? Your zone of genius or whatever. For me, it's more like, let's have a talk, and I'm going to encourage you to feel me. And if you're feeling like it's a hell no, then it's a hell no. And if you're feeling like, gosh, something in me is just really, really lighting up, it's feeling really light, it's feeling really hopeful, it's moving, then it's a hell yes. And let's continue this conversation. I work with people privately, like I said, on retreats. And then we do have a sister circle that women are doing the heroine's journey together, which is like a monthly membership. But I deeply trust that each person knows what they need. Sometimes we just need the tools and we need someone to help us tap into that.
That's really cool. So what do we want them to do? Are we putting a link for them to book a call? Is that what you want to offer them for if they want to come? Where is the retreat anyway? And
It is in
what dates is the
Santa
retreat?
Catalina. Yeah, so it's in Santa Catalina, Panama, right there in the jungle and right there on the ocean. One of the healthiest countries alive. So we're going to live just like the locals. It's January 18th through the 26th. So 8 nights. Would just love to enter into further conversations. Love to have you join us. I can absolutely promise from the bottom of my heart, it will change your life. It will be the start or the middle of something profound. And yeah, I will have a link if you want to schedule a call. If you're maybe interested in working privately with me, or I can also provide some books recommendations too, if that's useful in that as well.
I'd love to put some of the books that I think you talked about one, and maybe there is 2 or 3 that you feel could help people. So if you're like, I'm not really in a place to move further, that's fine. Just grab the books and read them. But if you're in a place where you're ready for this and you're really ready to tap into the full essence of your feminine and build whatever the empire you're building, but from that state of depth and like really your highest self or level of self, as Raechel put it, then we're going to be putting a link in the comments, in the comment section. I think it would be the pinned comment. Book a call with Raechel and kind of see if she is going to be the instructor for you. But ultimately, the biggest thing that you can do for the calling of on my name as a translator for the soul, and for Raechel as someone that is wanting to help women experience success differently, the biggest thing you can do for us is think through your circles, think through the people you really care about, think through the people you admire, and say to yourself, in whose hands would Raechel's work be life-changing? It may not be you, but who do you know that is a strong, boss babe, got it all, but you really don't know about, like, okay, how do they feed their soul? When do they meditate? Like, okay, what is the practice to ground them? How is their marriage looking? If all those parts are not adding up, chances are they're missing the beat that Raechel is wanting to provide. So what you can do, you can also be a mentor that helped you, who had it all together, but you could sense that they were disconnected from spirit or from the inner wisdom. You could tell that they were all about strategy. That was me. Like, what's the next thing? What do we need to do? What's the mindset? Let's go, 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 go. Like, really, that was me. Like, man, let's get stuff done. You're either doing it or you're not doing it. Like, who has changed? And I help people make money. I changed their lives. But I wish that I understood this part, because it would have been very, very relatable. When people didn't do the work, I was like, why are we not doing the work? Why are we not clear? Like, if I would have understood this part, then I would have had more compassion. I would have had a different set of advice. I probably would have told somebody, what you really need at this point is healing. What you need at this point is to slow down. What you need at this point is build this kind of muscle. Like, I would have given people, because now I look at my past clients and there's people who clearly needed soul work, but I didn't know about that. And so who do you know that is changing the world? But if we gave them this piece, they would, like, the world would just shift. Who do you know that has access to millions of people, but they're missing this piece? And everything is a strategy, and let's do, and let's do, and let's, like, who do you know that if they added this piece to their work, they would impact a lot of people, or their work would be much more meaningful? Who do you know that needs to do this work so they can show up even more powerfully than they are today? This is the cry from my heart to you because you're the vessel. What I would like for you to do is share this message with them. Let them sit through the interview, let them meet Racheal, and hopefully they can make it to the retreat because the retreat is in 2025. So we have a whole amount of time to get into the retreat. And I don't know that she takes many numbers. I think it will be full anyway. So who do you want at Racheal's retreat? It's really the biggest thing you can do for this work because that's a promise and that's how we roll. That's how we beat ads. That's how we beat marketing. That's how we get this message to move and reach the right people. So thank you for taking on the responsibility and the challenge and being the vessel, the carrier of this message. Racheal, we're getting to the end, and I'm wanting to ask, what would be your final words of wisdom? I know you've given us a lot, but would you like to be your parting words?
I think I would just like to end with, you don't have to do this alone, and nor should you. Have someone holding a lifeline when you're down in the underworld. Have somebody who has an archetype of a mother to support you and love you. Have someone who has the archetype of the sage, the wisdom, the experience. Have someone who's using their spiritual gifts, and have them walk with you. It adds to you, it doesn't take away. So my parting words is, don't do this alone. We need each other.
I love that. Thank you so much, Racheal, for really pouring into the community and for sharing all of your secrets and nuggets and everything from your sweat, tears, frustration. It really means a lot to us. It does.
Thank you.
And for you that has taken the time to listen in, to lean in, to go through, I don't know, 1 hour, then I don't know how many minutes were off the hour. I really want to congratulate you and give you your flowers for staying the course and for being with me on the battlefield, spreading this message. As always, if you're on your app or if you can pull up your app, search for the words Best Kept Secret and see what is it that you have the ability to do. Is it follow? Is it subscribe? Is it rate? Is it review? Is it comment? It helps more than you know when you take a minute and do those things. If you're driving, you don't have to do this. But if you're in a place that is settled, I would love for you to contribute to the show in that way. Because what you are doing by subscribing and rating and reviewing is you're telling the universe that there is something that is happening here. And if this is your frequency, then you need to be here. Racheal's message exists because there's a cry on someone else's heart. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here on this show. She wouldn't be on this podcast. And so if you are hearing this and you know, because it's your message, there is a knowing that happens when this is your message. Whether you're here on the podcast originally or someone has shared it, if this is your message, you just know because the knowing is there. And so that's as much as I can go. Bringing the guest, bringing the message, and putting this connection in your heart and feeling like, heck yes, this is the person. And so if that's how you're feeling, then there will be a pinned comment. Get in the room with Racheal and let it go wherever it's meant to be. Go through that process, experience her, see if that's the kind of person you'd like to be guided by. And if she's not, then just come back and scroll through the titles for the other videos. But whatever the how that lies on your heart, I can guarantee you this is a podcast with the how. But you do have to lean in and find the person that carries your how. That is your responsibility. My goal is to bring the best kept secrets out there. So whatever the question is on your heart, there is someone answering this. And all you have to do is scan through, grab them, get in the room, change your life, go and change the world. Appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. I will see you very soon. Bye. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.